IOC Youth friends, Miss Elisabeth here, coming to you today from my house to yours. I'm so excited to spend some time with you all today, sharing with you from part 2 of a series that we started last week called In My Opinion. Now, if you missed our message from last week, don't worry. We have everything online for you to be able to catch up on both our YouTube channel as well as on the church website, intlfamilychurch.com. You can easily find any of our past videos from last Sunday and the weeks before that. So go ahead and catch up and then jump in today with part 2 with me. Now, before we start into our message, I'll go ahead and invite you, as I always do, to go ahead and grab some paper, a pen, pull out your phone if you're not watching on that, and go ahead and get ready to take some notes. Reminder that we'll have small group coming up this week on Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Love getting to spend some time with you guys and so enjoy getting to have conversation and see your faces. So, in preparation, let's go ahead and get our stuff together and let's jump into our conversation for today. Now, this series and this conversation called In My Opinion. Every one of us has opinions, whether we realize it and probably do, or maybe we're in denial, thinking that we don't have opinions. Opinions of themselves are not bad things at all. I actually find it so interesting how each one of us have such different and sometimes conflicting opinions. But the question I'd like to pose and kind of break down for us today is what happens when maybe your life and your way of your opinion conflicts with a friend's and someone else's in your life. Who wins, who loses, and who decides who's right and wrong? Now, I will admit I have a few kind of controversial opinions of my own. I'm going to share a few with you. I feel like this might be a testing point of our friendship, so you have to decide before I even show you my opinions that you'll still love me. But I do know I have a few opinions that probably are not all that popular. One of the opinions that I personally have is I'm not a huge fan of cats, like at all, like not even a little bit. Like I'm such a dog person. I am not a cat person. And even I've had friends who have been like, oh, they're so cute. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good, man. Not my thing. Like I'm just not a cat person. In my opinion, cats are not better than dogs. I'm sorry to say it. In my opinion, they're not. Another somewhat controversial opinion, I'm not a tea person, like not even a little bit. Like if you offer it to me and you're like, it's all we have, I'll be like, okay, cool, no worries. But I'm not a tea person. I way prefer coffee. I've never really been a tea person. And for me, it's not, in my opinion, better than coffee. Now, this is probably going to be the most controversial opinion I'm about to share with you. Buckle in, my friends. Be prepared. We might have to have a conversation after this. In my opinion, I was not a fan of Frozen 2. I mean, I liked Frozen 1 for the most part. I liked some of the songs. I thought it was somewhat interesting, the idea. Watched Frozen 2, disappointed. I'm going to admit it. Disappointed with the songs. I expected so much more, and I watched it and I was just like, man, in my opinion, I was not, really satisfied with the movie based on what I thought it was going to be. But isn't it interesting how I emphasized each time, in my opinion? But the question really is, what happens when your opinion conflicts and comes up against another person's opinion? Who wins? Who loses? And ultimately, how do we express those opinions to other people? Now, I'm sure most of you have seen this on Snapchat. If you have Snapchat, if you don't, I'll fill you in. TBH stands for to be honest. Now, this is something that you see commonly happen on Snapchat, where basically you allow people to express an honest statement, something maybe they've not expressed to you before. You swipe up, you can either keep it anonymous or you share it with other people. Something I always find interesting when I kind of flip through someone's to be honest is sometimes how that line of honesty turns to something that is kind of hurtful. And that line of someone's opinion now is being stated as facts about someone else. And the question I really would like us to think about is, how do we sometimes maybe express something that is honest to us, but could be hurtful to the other person? And where is the line between what we need to say and maybe what doesn't need to be said at all? And honestly, sometimes our opinion can seem like it is the most important thing in the room, when really what's the most important thing is the person on the other side of that screen, on the other side of our words, and on the other side of our opinion. Which leads me to our big takeaway. What I'd like for you to remember today, really forget everything else. Our big takeaway today is use kindness and love when you speak up. See, I think we all kind of fall into a few different categories. And I'd like to break that down, but I'd like to start first with a scripture that I really think paints a picture of how we should handle when opinions clash, when your honesty and your opinion clashes with mine, or even if you're honest and to be honest is something that you want to share, but maybe it doesn't need to be shared in the way that you shared it in that moment. Let me explain. Scripture I want to show you guys today, Galatians chapter 6, verse 1 through 3. Now I'm going to read this for you guys. You can just follow along with me. And the scripture says, "My beloved friends, if you see a believer who is overtaken with a fault, may the one who overflows with the Spirit seek to restore him. Win him over with gentle words, which will open his heart to you and will keep you from exalting yourself over him. Love empowers us to fulfill the law of the Anointed One as we carry each other's troubles." This is my favorite part. "If you think you are too important to stoop down to help another, you are living in deception." If you think you are too important to stoop down and help another, you are living in deception. Which leads me to one of my main statements I would like us to talk about, is it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. See, each one of us can have our opinions. There is nothing wrong with an opinion, like I said earlier. But very often, it's not what you've said, but it's how you've said it. Maybe you do fall into two categories, like I mentioned a little bit ago. Maybe you fall in the category of you've received someone else's honesty and it's hurt. It's really hurt. It's made you question yourself or feel less than, or feel both unseen while still also called out for something that you feel judged about. Maybe someone has shared their opinion of you that you're snobby or stuck up or whatever they've said that they think you are, and you feel cut by those words. But maybe on the other side, have you ever shared an honest remark, an honest opinion with someone, and they took it really badly? And maybe you realize also after you said it or you shared it or you snapped it or you texted it that you shouldn't have said it that way. And now it's almost like you've hurt someone so badly and you don't know how to fix it. See, the thing is that before we ever share our opinion, we should first question, how am I sharing this? Am I sharing this with love? Is this shared to try to help them? Is this shared to try in some way to show them something that maybe could hurt them down the road? Or am I just trying to put them in their place? Am I just trying to make me feel better by trying to push them down? What are our goals? What are our motivations behind the opinions that we so often share? Now, there's a second tension, I think. Maybe you fall into that first group of people who've been hurt by other people's opinions and thoughts, and to be honest, that they've shared with you. But maybe you fall into a second one, is that if we want what's best for our friends, sometimes we do have to speak up. I am not suggesting that because you see something happening in someone's life that you know could hurt them, that you know could be a big issue, that you just go, well, I'm just going to keep that opinion to myself. I'm just going to put that in my pocket and I'm not going to say anything, because you know that could cause an issue. And I've shared opinions before and it caused so much drama and people got upset, and I just don't even want to get into that. See, the thing is, on one side, when we share an honest remark out of a goal to hurt, that's wrong. And on the other side, when we don't share something that is true, that is helpful, that is something that someone may not realize that they're doing, or maybe not realize that they have said, and we decide instead to stay silent, that also is not acting in love. The goal of all of this should be, let's break this down. Number one, what does it look like to love our friends and show kindness in each different situation? First question you should ask yourself before you say something, whether you're going to share an opinion or whether you see an issue that you feel like you maybe should address in someone's life, is ask yourself the question that, are you trying to show kindness to them in this situation? And number two is, what would you want? What would you want someone to do for you? If you were in the middle of making a huge mistake in your life, do you want a friend to stay silent? Do you want someone to say, well, it's their business, it's their choice, it's their life, it's their opinion to do what they want to do? Or would you want someone to kindly and lovingly, privately pull you aside, talk to you, text you, message you, FaceTime you, and say, hey, I love you enough to tell you the truth. I love you enough to share my opinion, to share my thoughts, to share my honesty. I love you enough. And the flip of that, my question to you would be, is what you're just sharing and what you're saying and what you're telling people, in your opinion, is it helpful? Is it kind? Is it loving? Are you stooping down to help them? Are you trying to make them feel smaller to make yourself feel bigger? And ultimately, are we fulfilling our big takeaway, which is that we use kindness and love when we speak up? Right now in this season, my friends, more than ever before, when we can't see each other in person, our words have power to bring life, and our words have power to bring death. And the question I'm asking myself more than I ever have before is, what's one thing that keeps me from speaking up or speaking out in love? Because both sides are just as important. I need to make sure that the words that I say, they come from a kind and loving and encouraging place. And also that I don't allow myself to stay silent just because I might be worried about how a friend might take the truth that I know I need to say. So my friends, the question I would ask you as we wrap up and finish is, what is the thing? What is it in your life that's holding you back or stopping you from speaking up, stopping you from being honest? And maybe I would also ask you this question. Is there something behind the reasons that you have been maybe being extra harsh with the people in your life right now? Do you feel lonely? Do you feel like no one sees you? Do you have these maybe negative emotions that are leading you to act in a way that isn't as loving as that you could be? And in this season, what can we do? How can we change our actions to start to make sure that we are being motivated and directed and coming from a place of love? Because just like Galatians said, how can we possibly not stoop down to help someone else when we are so needing someone to stoop down and help us? So my friends, I love you. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. I have enjoyed this time together, and I so look forward to our upcoming small group coming up this week on Tuesday evening. So I will see you there. If you need anything at all, please let me know. Love you, praying for you. Bye-bye.